So, Michael, the coronavirus is still at the forefront of everyone's minds, and I am really pissed off right now because the government, our wonderful conservative government, they have gone from, we don't give a shit, we're just going to let everyone get infected and herd immunity and all that to, oh shit, actually we need to suppress this. Because you know what, Michael, it turns out if like 60% of the population gets infected and you even have a 0.7% mortality rate, that's 260,000 people dying, which is an overwhelming amount of people. And so, the government, I think they have realised, oh shit, we can't actually do that because then people will be really angry at us for letting 260,000 people die. And that's the best case scenario, really, with a 0.7% mortality rate. So yeah, this will come out a week after the event I'm talking about has happened, but the government has changed its stance and now they are suppressing it like every other country in the world and not relying on this bullshit herd immunity thing, which all the bootlickers I saw on social media defending the government, they got it completely wrong. And thankfully now they've changed it, but it may be too late for a lot of people, because if you look at the rate of people getting infected with the coronavirus in this country, it is on pace to match Italy. And we know the devastation going on with Italy. So overall, Michael, I'm just pissed at this whole situation. And then to top it all off, new poll released today in terms of approval rating for Boris Johnson. And the Conservatives have gone up like 5 points, and more people are approving than disapproving of his handling, and his popularity ratings have gone up. So I don't know what to fucking do, Michael. Like, it just amazes me, this fucking country sometimes.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Democracy simply doesn't work. Hello and welcome to Select and Reflect, the movie review podcast where we take films from the near and distant past, we give them a couple of watches, and evaluate them beyond first impressions. I'm your host Michael, and I'm joined as always by my co-host Luke, and this week we are not celebrating the release of Mulan in theatres, because it has of course been pushed back due to the coronavirus. However, it was originally scheduled for now, so we're going to be looking at Mulan, the classic Disney film. And Luke, why don't you tell us a thing or two about Mulan?
Sure thing, Michael. So Mulan is a 1998 American animated musical historical action adventure film, produced by Walt Disney, and is based on the Chinese legend of Hua Mulan, and was Disney's 36th animated feature and 9th animated film produced and released during the Disney Renaissance. It was directed by Tony Bancroft and Barry Cook, with story by Robert D. Sansucci, and the screenplay by Rita Haseo, Philip Lazebnik, and Chris Sanders. And there are some other people as well whose names are too difficult to say, so I'm not going to say them. I hope you understand. Again, based on the Ballad of Mulan by Guo Maquin. I have no idea if I'm saying these things correctly. Probably not. Stars Ming-Na Wen, Eddie Murphy, B.D. Wong, Miguel Ferreira, June Foray, James Hong, Pat Morita, and George Takei. It was released on June the 19th, 1998. And can you tell me what the budget was for Mulan, Michael?
No, I don't know, like 45 million?
Double it, 90.
90 million, okay.
90, yeah. And can you tell me what the box office was for Mulan?
600 million?
No, 300.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, if you doubled your budget and halved the box office, you would have got exactly right.
In a way, it's almost more impressive than being right. I
would disagree. So, Michael, Mulan. Of course, one of the most famous films from the Disney Renaissance, hence why it's getting another movie in 2020, or whenever it will be released, a live-action version. So, Michael, did you like it?
Yeah, it's okay. It's good.
Just okay?
It's a good film.
Yeah, okay. I guess it was good, so you did like it, you thought it was decent?
Yes, I did like it.
Okay.
I watched it and I thought, I liked that. Did you like it?
Yes. I think, it was good. So we'll get into more detail now, but firstly, nitpicks. How many nitpicks do you have now?
Oh, I've got so many.
Please don't say.
2, 3,
Jesus
4,
Christ.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. One of my nitpicks, I actually moved to the plot because I thought 12 nitpicks was too many.
Oh yeah, but 11's fine.
Well, yeah, 11, which is symbolic of the symmetry represented in the yin-yang symbol. So.
Oh, okay. I see. No, very smart. But okay, well, I've got 4, and I've got a lit pick as well.
Oh, I've got a lit pick as well.
Oh, great. So you actually have 12.
Kind of. I mean, maybe your lit pick will be the same as my lit pick.
Well, actually, it's not a nitpick, it's a nitpick, as I realised that this is something that shouldn't be celebrated and is actually a negative thing, not a nitpick. So
That's kind of how I feel about mine too. I wonder if we do have the same thing.
what is it? Just tell me.
Okay, fine. Mine was that Eddie Murphy, Mushu, says to the bug, "Get out of there, you're going to make people sick." When the bug
why is that
orange.
a nitpick?
Well, just because I found it funny, given recent events. But also, like you said, it's not a nitpick because it shouldn't be celebrated, or it's kind of a nitpick because it shouldn't be celebrated that people are getting sick. But I just found it funny that in this film, set in China, when there's the coronavirus going on, we have the mention of a little thing making people sick, just like the bats.
Yeah, okay. I struggle to see the connection, but whatever. But yeah, mine isn't the same.
Okay. Anyway, but since you've got slightly fewer than me, you need to do your nitpicks first.
I do. So my first nitpick. So the same day that Mulan fails at being a woman is the same day that China needs people to fight for it.
That's true.
Bit of a coincidence.
Yeah, but maybe she's constantly failing at being a woman. Maybe this is just like a regular thing for her.
All right. Okay. Next nitpick. Why doesn't the stone dragon come alive?
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
I was sure that was going to be one of yours.
No, that's so funny, isn't it?
Because it's just so obvious. It's like Mushu tries to awake the stone dragon, and the stone dragon doesn't get awakened. So there you go. Next one. Does nobody else have a guardian dragon? Is it just Mulan? Is she the only one? Apparently so.
Yeah,
I never
thought about that. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. My next nitpick is there's hardly anybody in Mulan's regiment. It's pissed me off throughout the movie. There's like hardly any soldiers under the command of Li Shang. Just there's like 20 of them. Surely there should be about 200.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, exactly. So my final nitpick, Michael, is there is no mention throughout the movie of Szechuan sauce. So this was the thing. I was like, oh, this is a nitpick, but actually I realised, no, this is a nitpick. So, as we all know, 2 days before the general release of Mulan, back in 1998, McDonald's launched its promotional campaign by including one of 8 toys free with the purchase of a Happy Meal, and the promotion also included some Szechuan sauce for its chicken nuggets, or chicken McNuggets, sorry, which would be referenced in a 2017 episode of the Adult Swim series Rick and Morty, and subsequently brought back by McDonald's as a promotional item related to that show. Do you remember, Michael, the day that McDonald's re-released Szechuan sauce across America? Do you remember that?
I remember it with a burning passion.
Do you actually?
No, yeah, I do remember it, yeah. And you had like the guy who was like, "I'm Pickle Rick!" Remember?
One of the most embarrassing days in world history. People lining up, queuing around the corner for some shitty Szechuan sauce. It just goes to show you, Mike, what we talked about before about how people just don't know what they're doing in terms of knowing about what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
And then you see that, but the same people, they really, really want that Szechuan sauce that's been released in McDonald's all across the nation.
That's true, yeah.
So,
there's a big problem.
Yeah. I mean, I can't believe it. Really, that it wasn't even in the fucking movie. Have you ever had Szechuan sauce, Michael?
No, I'm afraid not. I mean, I guess I've maybe had they have a Szechuan chicken at my local Chinese takeaway. So there we go.
If you saw some Szechuan sauce, would you want to try it?
I guess I would want to try it because, I'd want to know all the hype was about.
Yeah, wait. After watching a Rick and Morty episode, you definitely want to go and do that.
Well, it's just because people are so excited about it that I want to know. I mean, there must be missing something. It couldn't just be a marketing ploy. There must be something there, Luke, don't you know?
Yeah. Okay, so yes, the Szechuan sauce, that infamous incident. Yes, can't forget it. So those are my nitpicks. Please go through yours, Michael.
Okay, number 1. The Huns were not in China. This is a really weird one. I don't know why it was there, because the Huns lived in the kind of Caucasus area, just north of the Caucasus, and eventually moved to Hungary, hence Hungary's name. So, I don't know. What are you doing there? Number 2, the Great Wall was not thought to be impregnable, and it wasn't even intended to keep people out, strictly speaking. So the guy says, what? Nobody could have made their way, got past the Great Wall, even though it wasn't so nobody could get past. And number 2, the Great Wall had intentional gaps in it anyway, because it was designed to funnel troops into those particular strategic points. It wasn't actually designed to keep people from not getting into China. It was just designed to make sure that when they did get in, they came in at places that were more easy to defend. This one, I don't know, but basically the Chinese alphabet is not a phonetic alphabet. So obviously Mulan has a thing where the letters smudge. Instead of, I can't remember what it is, I think it says shack. Instead of shack, she said act. I don't know. She said something wrong, which is basically, again, it doesn't make sense because it's not a phonetic alphabet. I don't get what on earth Shan Yu can mean when he says, by building his wall, the Emperor that is, he challenged my strength because
we'll get onto
the
that
Great
later.
Wall was not built by one person. Whatever we're at, she didn't come up with a boy's name. Apparently she was practicing to speak like a man, but when asked what her name was, she didn't know. She hadn't come up with a name that was a man's name.
This Mulan. Yes.
Mulan. Fire arrows are stupid. They were, as far as we can tell, almost never used in practice, and that's because they don't really achieve anything. And also they'd be really hard to actually make work, because you're firing something at really fast speeds through the air. It's going to blow out the fire unless you had a great big roaring fire, and then why would you even bother doing that? Yeah, basically fire arrows weren't really a thing. In some very exceptional circumstances they might have been used, but there was no chance these Huns would have just been sat around going, all right, come on guys, we've got to get our fire going so we can set our arrows on fire. I know you can say, well, it did achieve something because it blew up the what's it called? The fireworks they had, which they apparently used as weapons. But even after that, they were still using the fire arrows, so it makes absolutely no sense. That arrow rope was such bullshit. When it's like you've got a rope tied onto an arrow which is able to support the weight of a horse and 2 grown people. No. How does the guy who's like overseeing Shang taking off Mulan's like head tie prove her to be a woman when presumably everyone looks like that if you take off their head tie? It makes no sense. It just bothered me so much because she cuts her hair short, she ties her hair up so it looks like a man's hair, and then he pulls the head tie out and goes, look, she's a woman. And I'm like, well, wait,
what do you want him to do, Michael? Look under her skirt?
Well, would
that be a better thing?
Yeah, he should have torn her, her. Well, it does that in the R-rated version. I'm hoping that the remake's going to be R-rated. This is just, none of the capitals of Northern Wei were close to a mountain. But if you want to make it slightly less nitpicky, I'm just going to say that it's kind of convenient that this mountain was right next to the city where they're having the celebration. Doesn't really matter to me. Anyway, but it's inconsistent with Shan Yu's character that he wouldn't just kill the Emperor. I don't, obviously it's convenient. He's like, oh yeah. Like he would just, when you base like how Shan Yu has been built up this entire film, he would just kill the Emperor. He wouldn't go, bow to me. And Shan is angry that the Emperor runs away, even though the Emperor running away would give him a legitimate pretense to ruling China. He'd go, look, the Emperor's fled. Like, a lot of the time in civil wars, it starts when some guy goes to kill the Emperor, and then the Emperor runs away. And then the guy who went to overthrow the Emperor doesn't go, oh, the Emperor run away. I guess I'm foiled now. He'd go, oh, look, the Emperor run away. That's convenient. But in this version, he's like, no, the Emperor run away. Now I'm screwed. So there we go. Those are all my nitpicks.
Okay, Michael, so those are the nitpicks, quite a few there, and you were very specific with your critiques of how this film portrayed China and Chinese history, which I thought we were going to do later, but nevertheless we did it here.
Yeah, I know. Well, see, some of them, like, when we get to Chinese history, I think it's going to be more substantial, whereas in this case it was just, like, little things. Because I don't really consider it a huge blight on this film that they invented some weird capital that's right next to a mountain, even though it doesn't exist, because, whatever, they're allowed to do it. Get over it. Don't attack them for their choices.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to that later. I can't tell you how much I am looking forward to that.
Thank you.
Anyway, so, Mulan, the plot. It takes place in China during the Han Dynasty, where Fa Mulan, daughter of aged warrior Fa Zhu, impersonates a man to take her father's place during a general conscription to counter a Hun invasion. So, yes, that is the plot. It's quite simple. Before we get into it, actually, I just want to say that what is really jarring in this movie is that Mulan and the rest of them have American accents, which immediately when you start watching, I know you said you weren't bothered by it, but just hearing like an American teenager kind of voice come out of Mulan is quite, well, like I said, it's jarring. It just doesn't sound right. But then, which is a really crazy thing, her father actually has a Chinese accent.
Oh yeah.
So what's going on there? I just have to assume that American audiences are used to the old ancient Chinese man trope, who doesn't say a lot, just he's very wise, all of that shit. So the dad can be Chinese, but not the others though. They all have to be American.
Yeah, well, I think there are several films, mostly Disney films, I think, where you have the main characters all speak with American accents, but then other characters speak with French accents. Or sorry, I said French accents because I was thinking about Beauty and the Beast and The Hunchback of Notre Dame, where a lot of the kind of... So the minor characters will all speak... with French accents, and I'll go, oh, Bella, what are you doing today? And she'll go, well, I'm just off to see the beast. He's up there in his castle. And you go, oh, it's very good to... See, I don't really mind it. I tell you what, the only thing that does bother me, I don't mind American accents when already it's being translated, because I'm like, okay, fine. If you're going to translate, you don't have to translate it into English language spoken with a Chinese accent. The only thing that does bother me is when you get American accents in films set in places that do speak English, but it's not America. So obviously if you get like a film set in England and people speak American
So it
accents.
only bothers you when they insult our culture, but
Well,
not the
I don't
Chinese.
consider it an insult. I'm just saying, like, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, and to be fair, we're guilty of this. Have you ever seen Enemy at the Gate? Fun fact:
Oh, no,
the people
look,
at Stalingrad didn't speak with an English accent. You got Jude Law there going, "Oh, all right, there. My name's Yuri Andropov, and I've got to defeat these Nazis with my trusty sniper." That's not what Russian
Blimey.
sounded like.
Hand me some of that vodka, Vladimir. Vladiel.
There is no I, there is only we. Anyway, I mean, that's the thing. I'm a big fan of people speaking. You don't want to go full Mel Gibson and just be like, you know what? Everybody has to be completely historically accurate. Mel Gibson, if there's one thing you can say about him, he likes to have complete accuracy in the linguistics of his films, except for Braveheart. Except for the one time he decided he'd talk. Actually, Braveheart, that's like a terrible accent, isn't it? I know, like, you're going to say, yes, obviously, Michael, it's well known for being a terrible accent, but so unconfident am I that I need your approval to say, yes, Michael, it's definitely a terrible accent.
I believe that is the case, yes.
Yeah, so there we go. That would be an example. See, that one does bother me, because it's like, well, they already speak English in Scotland, so get an English-speaking person. Like, yeah, in China, fine, okay, you're already translating it to English. Might as well have it be in an English accent or an American accent or whatever. But if they already speak English there, oh, that's bothering me. So it's more like, I guess I am a language racist, is what we're getting at.
You don't care about the Chinese, simply. And I do care about China, and I just feel so sad for them that they released their Chinese virus on the world.
Yeah, I know.
And the first big blockbuster of the year that was cancelled was their own Mulan. It's so ironic.
Just so
truly ironic.
So.
Yeah, definitely. You rebut. No, of course we are joking here.
Yeah. Also, I hate to break it to you, but I don't think Mulan is really a product of China. I think it's a product of an American-based company called Disney.
Oh yeah, I think I heard about that as well. Yeah. Anyway, it's not called the Chinese virus. Anyway, it is called the Wuhan virus. That is its actual name.
I thought you were going to say the more controversial term there. I was getting ready to shun you for not being woke.
To be fair, Kung Flu is quite clever.
It is really clever.
Really racist.
I mean, yeah, I told my sister about it and she laughed. I said, you know, they're calling it the thing is, I didn't explain any of the context. I just said, you know, they're calling it the Kung Flu now. So I like to think at some point she's just going to say it, just like, oh yeah, apparently they're calling it the Kung Flu.
That's incredibly racist.
No, yeah. I mean, to be fair, at the end of the day, I don't think it's too bad. In the grand scheme of racism, I feel like, you know, giving a virus a funny name is pretty low. So,
okay.
Well done.
Yes.
Well done us for not being as racist as we could be.
Okay, so yeah, that's enough of China talk for now.
Yeah.
Let's go into the actual plot. So I think this plot goes as you would expect. Mulan proves herself as a fighter. Then she has a battle with the bad guys. She has some success, so she's done a good job. Then she reveals her identity. Then after the others don't trust her, so once again, she has to go and prove herself in the finale. And yeah, like I said, it's pretty basic structure, but what is key is that Mulan is a good character, a really good character, and you have that emotional structure behind it concerning Mulan. She has good motivation, good resolution, and yeah, we will get into her character development later on, but that really is the key to the whole movie, the fact that she is such a good character that makes this, you know, by the numbers plot, which you can already tell from the beginning, you know, what's going to happen. That's what makes it work, and that's what makes it not shit, basically. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know how I've been talking about my symmetry? I've had my yin-yang thing going. I actually have exactly 3 positives about the plot and 3 negatives. I don't know. I didn't do this on purpose, Luke, but I'm just doing so well at this. So for me, like, you mentioned how you got that kind of emotional core of Mulan. I kind of disagree, but in a sort of more of a framing sense, in that I don't really think it's about, for me, what the most powerful thing wasn't really Mulan's character or emotional arc, but rather her relationship to her father and also her father's relationship to the kind of sense of honor, which I liked. So that was like my first big positive. The dad's desire to serve is like quite powerful, where he's got the cane and he puts it away and kind of hobbles with and he picks up the sword. He's like, you know, I got to do it. And then have that argument, and I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, this is a believable argument. I can believe that this would be like a real conflict that would happen. And then obviously, eventually, she makes the decision to run away and fight in her father's place. And I liked all of that. But I think where I would maybe disagree with you then, unless you're actually agreeing with me on this, is that I don't really think that Mulan's character went in many fantastically interesting places after that. Not to say it was like bad or anything, but I just feel like the real strength was from when the call goes out, you know, come on everyone, you gotta go sign up. And Dad's like walking with his cane. He's like, no, I'm gonna fight because of honor. And then Mulan's like, no, you dickhead, don't do it. And then eventually she decides to serve in his place. I like that. So did you like that? And do you agree with me that maybe that's the strongest point? Or do you think, no, actually, I think the strength's continued way beyond that, you moron?
Okay, yeah. So the setup to Mulan's character in the first act when she's back at her home. That is the real key of the movie. That's the foundation for the rest of the movie. So as you got those foundations in the rest of the movie, yeah, I agree. She doesn't really get to interesting places, but she doesn't really have to.
Yeah, it's more a case of falling into place.
Yeah, but the start is really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Other positive. I liked the whole decision to have the sidekick character be the ancestor thing. I thought it was a really clever way of incorporating, obviously, the aspect of folk religion. But then, because the thing is, you have these sidekick characters in a lot of these Disney films, especially, I think, more so in the Renaissance films. You get, for example, Flounder in The Little Mermaid. You get the gargoyles in Hunchback of Notre Dame. You get that random raccoon in Pocahontas. Obviously there's just loads of them. Most of the time they're there for literally no reason, and there's no explanation. You get that random Danny DeVito guy in Hercules, and there's no explanation why they're there. But I thought it was quite clever to have the idea of, because essentially it's guardian angel. It's like, but it's not guardian angel. It's the Chinese idea of guardian angel, which is you have these ancestral spirits. And yeah, I just really thought the decision to have Mushu be like that was a good decision, and I thought it was well done. It was a good way of incorporating that aspect of society into that. And finally, I liked that this was a war where it really felt like, it's not so much that people did die, although people did die, but it really felt like people died. Because generally speaking, you think Disney war film, because in a lot of these films, that people do die, but it has to be like the bad guy dies at the end after he's shown himself to be really evil. You don't generally get gratuitous deaths in these Disney films, because of course they are ultimately intended for children. And I thought that the number of times they made kind of clever decisions with showing that there were real stakes and people really were dying, but in a way where it wasn't, gratuitous, was really appreciated. Like, obviously, the standout bit, I think, was when Shan Yu says, how many people does it take to deliver a message? And they go, just one, and then draw his bow, implication, he's going to kill one of them. But it was like so well done in a way that made me like, okay, this is a bad guy, one. Number two, he is actually killing people. And the comparison I have to make is to Avatar: The Last Airbender, where the Fire Nation, this is the animated show, the Fire Nation is supposed to be these like evil guys who are killing everyone. But because it's an animated show for kids, they can literally never ever show somebody die. And it's literally a 2-part episode where they have this massive battle and they're just like dropping rocks on each other. And I'm thinking, why aren't they using swords to stab each other to death? Oh, I know why. It's because it's a kid's show. Whereas in this thing, there was no moment where I felt like it was holding back in an undue way. I never felt like it was like, oh, this is being sanitized for children. I thought it all felt very real, the violence of it and the war of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the tone they set with how serious the war was a good tone. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, it's no 300 by Zack Snyder.
No, it's not. Nothing can be. Anyway, do we have some negatives, Michael?
Yeah, so, number one, Ping's actions are arguably, I found this really weird, and this was one thing which I was going to put as a nitpick, and I thought, actually, no, not really. Ping's actions are arguably dishonorable when they defeat Shan Yu, and I just found it kind of funny, because, I don't know why I wrote Ping, actually. It's Mulan. Apparently, I bought into the charade, too. I'm like, oh, this Ping guy who becomes the main character halfway through the film. I didn't really agree with him, though. But, because the obvious thing would be that Li Shang says, aim for Shan Yu and kill him with the fireworks thing. And obviously the implication would be they kill Shan Yu, and then maybe they die a heroic death, but ultimately Shan Yu's defeated, and well done, they sacrificed and then died. Whereas Mulan's like, no, I'm going to shoot this mountain on the off chance of causing this avalanche. By the way, number one, okay, that means that it's a risk that wouldn't work at all, in which case she could have killed Shan Yu, definitely, by hitting him with the thing, and then they all would have died in a heroic sacrifice when they would have been killed by all the other guys, but ultimately they saved the day. Great story. But also, she's now killing way more people than necessary, because ultimately, as you, I guess, could infer, usually what happens in a lot of these battles is once the main guy dies, there's then a rout where all of their guys run away. But she essentially denied any of those people any chance of escaping. So, in some ways, even though I said, hey, it's a film where they have real stakes, if anything, it was too much stakes, because I don't think it was appropriate for Mulan to kill an entire army. Speaking of Mulan and combat, the idea...
Is this another negative?
Yeah. This is like a new thing. So, Mulan beats Shan Yu in hand-to-hand combat, and that bothers me because Shan Yu's whole thing is supposed to be that he's like this really great warlord. So the obvious thing should be, well, he gets defeated by some other means than her being able to best him in hand-to-hand combat.
Oh, is this the 1998 fucking Rey beats Kylo Ren?
No. I mean, the thing is, no, because there's a difference. And the difference is that Rey was only ever going to, like, her whole thing was she was going to become a warrior. So fair enough. And obviously Mulan becomes a warrior. But the point is that Mulan has had a modest amount of training. It sounds so Rey. She's had a modest amount of training. And Shan Yu is this guy who's apparently able to unite all of these warlords. You know, he's supposed to be this really big threat, and yet she defeats him through physicality. And I think that's a problem. I think generally speaking, if you have a villain and they're supposed to be intimidating, then they're usually going to be intimidating because of their physicality, because they're evil. And then usually they'll get defeated some way, like love. You know, somebody who loves them somebody who loves the hero will save the day, or people will team up. There'll be like some way that somebody gets defeated. But in this case, Mulan just holds her own against him, and I was just thinking, no. I mean, again, it's not a case. It didn't annoy me, and I'm not like, Mulan's a Mary Sue. I just feel like it kind of undercuts him as a villain, and that leads me on to
Sounds like you're saying Mulan is a Mary Sue.
Kind of leads me on to my final point, and I just realised actually that my final point is something we can talk about later. So, do you want to talk about Mulan as a character?
Well, first I want to talk about the ending, Michael.
Oh, you want to talk about the ending?
I think my big issue with the ending is it just feels so rushed, and this I think is one of the elements that the live action, whenever it is released, can do better. So I just want to know, how the fuck did this celebration get ready in time? So we can assume that in half the day, this Imperial City, I believe that's what it's called, is suddenly celebrating after, that Shan Yu has been defeated, but they're all out, they're all ready to celebrate and all of that shit. Li Shang learns from Mulan that the Huns aren't actually all dead, and some of them are alive. I don't know why he suddenly doesn't believe her.
Yeah.
Why would she lie? As, she says, it is just stupid. I also have some issues in terms of how rushed it is with the transition between the second act and the third act. So in the second act of the movie is when Mulan, she's at her lowest, but at the end of the second act, obviously. But that happens so quickly after she proves herself, because you get the moment when the protagonist in these kind of movies, they do something remarkable, and then after a bit they come back down to earth. That's when the hero is at their lowest point before the third act, when they have to pick themselves up. All of these things in Mulan happen so quickly. Within 5 minutes, you get all these typical beats. So she does something well in the second act, then she's brought back down to earth in the second act. That's the lowest moment. And then she realizes, no, I've got to pick myself up and go again. And there is, there's no need to have it so quickly, like knitted together, especially when the movie is quite short. So that's something I didn't find too good. Like, it's so quickly, the beats that happen. It's like no time to breathe. She goes from hero to, again, such a low moment, then back to hero again, really rather quickly. So yeah, I have an issue with that.
Yeah, you are absolutely. Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah. It's funny because obviously last week we were talking about what women want, and in that thing we said that the second act and the third act happen really close to each other. And yeah, it's kind of the same thing here. I mean, ultimately she gets, and yeah, I mean, people always complain about films like Shrek. People say, oh, there's a bit where everything goes wrong and people fall out of each other, and then it's like they just mope around for a long time. But as much as people complain about that, I think you need that in order to have a sense of triumph at the end. When Shrek shows up and says, I object, you really believe it. Whereas in this case, yeah, it's literally just, she says, we don't like you anymore. And then, she doesn't, in another film, she'd like return home, or at least get close to returning home. She'd like show up at a tavern or something. And then, she'd hear in the tavern like some Mongols there. I know they're not actually Mongols because they're Huns for some reason, but they go, yeah, I hear that Shan Yu's actually survived and he's planning an attack now. Like, yeah, Shan Yu didn't die. Obviously it'd be convenient, but it's a Disney film. And then she'd go, oh, I must, decide, or maybe she'd, Eddie Murphy would go, hey, you got to do it. She'd go, no, there's no point. I've already brought dishonor upon my family, blah, blah, blah. And she'd go, no, you got to do it. And then like that would be the drawing out that would then make it feel more triumphant when she shows and goes, no, I am going to save the day. But yeah, instead, like you say, it's literally just like, get out of here, Mulan, you woman. And then she's like, okay, heading off. And then she's like, oh wait, no, they're heading to the city. I've got to go rescue them. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. It's nonsense.
Yeah, she doesn't have that moment where she turns around and is going back, and she has to be convinced to come back and be the hero. Which again is a cliche generic, but at least have it in there apart from just like skip it. Also, another problem with the ending, that the threat just isn't there. So here's the thing with Shan Yu when he confronts the Emperor. He knows he's gonna die, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he has done anything impressive getting to, like, kill the Emperor. Because how easy would it be to sneak into the Emperor's castle and kill him? Probably pretty easy. The real skill is conquering the city. But the thing is, he kills the Emperor, and then what happens after that? He isn't taking over the city.
Yeah.
Like, the guards are going to kill him, for sure. Like, there's what he's got.
Especially if the Emperor presumably has an heir. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, I was, it's just not, the stakes aren't that high, unfortunately, at the end.
Yeah.
I think it would be good if they had a final battle at the gates of the city. Another one of Shan Yu's armies survived, so he had two armies. Mulan defeated his main army on the mountain, and it made the battle between Shan Yu's army and the city more equal, not one-sided. So she should still get praised for that. Still, now it's a toss up to see who wins. Again, another opportunity to do things better in the live action, I would say. And I think Mulan killing Shan Yu would be even more impactful if China was still actually at risk. So when the Emperor says to Mulan, "You saved China," I'm thinking, well, she saved you, pal. I think China was pretty safe at that stage.
Well, I think actually the worst thing is she did save China, but she saved China before the second act.
Exactly.
So in other words, at the end of the first, like when you break it down, you got like the first act is her becoming successful. At the end of the first act, she saves China. Then everything goes. Then she's brought low. Then some very kind of insignificant threat appears in the third act, which doesn't present any existential threat to China at all. And then she saves there, and it's like, hey, thanks for saving me, but you also saved China. Ages ago.
Yeah, the big heroic moment is at the end of the second act. I think you said at the end of the first, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, the end of the second act when she obviously kills all those people in snow by starting creating an avalanche. That she saved China then, and we're not nearly done with this movie. We're like in the middle of it because obviously if she kills Shan Yu at the end, who the fuck cares? Because the Emperor will have an heir. Shan Yu's not going to get out of the city alive, and so I just think, again, if you have at the ending like a more, another chance for Mulan to show that she can save the city, that would be even better. Again, something they should maybe consider for the live action. But anyway, Michael, shall we get into Mulan's character now?
Yes. What do you got, Luke? Tell me all about her.
Well, essentially, we were just going to say what we said earlier. Mulan's character is set up very well. She's down on her luck, wants to prove herself. I was just thinking it would be nice if she had some ability to fight before, the call to...
Then she wouldn't be such a Mary Sue.
Yeah, well, maybe. But it's just more the idea that she would have to go and fight in a war, that she would have some ability. I think it'd be good to show a flashback to her childhood, fighting with the sword. Since her dad was a great warrior, she could be playing a bit with him. Again, another idea for the live action. I just keep spitting these out.
Yeah, I hope they hire you.
Yeah, I know. The issue, though, I have with the character development is... So she goes from someone who is unsure of themselves to a warrior, which we all knew was going to happen, but it gets done in a montage. She's all of a sudden, she's shit, she can't do anything, and then a minute later, with the song playing in the background, I'll make a man of you. It gets it done. So yeah, what do you think about
that? So I kind of agree. I think basically, if they were going to do that, if they were going to have her become a warrior with ease, become capable of being a warrior with ease, they needed to give her something else to deal with and grow with regards to. Unfortunately, as it stands, she does basically become a warrior, and obviously you will typically get a moment where in a Disney film a character goes through a big jump through musical montage. Again, I'm just mentioning this all the time, but it happens in Hercules. But then Hercules, as much as people dunk on that film quite a lot, Hercules still has a journey to go on after he becomes a hero. He becomes a hero through the little, I can't remember what it's called sung by Danny DeVito. And then after that, he still has a lot of growth to do. Whereas in this, she becomes a great warrior. And then that's it. She doesn't really, kind of just, and again, it still, obviously, I use the term play out to describe the relationship she has with the motivation in the very first beginning of the film. And it's kind of the same with her being a warrior. She's a warrior by the end of the song, and it's just a matter of it playing out. Yeah, so that bit's not great, but you do get an emotional hit at the end of the movie when she does well. She saves China and all that, even though she really didn't at that point in the movie, but whatever. And that is because of the setup in the beginning. I think the Reflection song does a really good job of that, setting up her character and, how she's disappointing her parents and who she deeply loves, especially her dad. And it's a brilliant motivation to have, really wanting to prove herself to her dad. Executed very well, and it makes the payoff at the end great. I like at the end when she greets her dad with her medals and the sword, and he's just happy to see her. Yeah, I like that.
I think that's a great moment, and I think that's the end of the day why this movie does work, and it's not shit. It's the emotional core of this movie and Mulan's drive to make her parents proud, and they've got a great relationship between her and her dad. That's what really makes this movie really good. Okay, so I want to move on now, Michael, to the feminist angle of this movie.
Yes.
Obviously, Mulan is a woman, exhibiting her girl power by crushing the Huns. I think there's, references throughout the movie that she's expected to be a standard woman, calm, obedient, that's what men like and all of that. And then she proves them all wrong. But what I like is she doesn't want to prove that girls can kick ass as well, like, she's a badass too. You know, what she wants to do is just bring honor to her family. That is the key, and that makes her motivation better that way, I think. And I think that's a real key, because they couldn't have gone down this path. And I don't think the live action is going to do it either, based on the trailer I've seen. That she wants to prove that women can just be as, you know, good as boys, which is, I guess, fine. You know, don't have a problem with that motivation, but the fact that she just wants to honor her family and she's going to do it however she can, whether that's being a good wife or being a soldier, you know, it doesn't matter. That's what makes her motivation so good. That's what makes the payoff at the end so good. But yeah, anyway, back to the feminist stuff. It's still, I think, it's kind of a progressive movie from 1998, wouldn't you say? I mean, the language in this movie concerning men, I think, would make certain internet users very angry if this came out in, let's say, 2018. I'm thinking of also Fox News with their takes on Frozen and all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. There was also something I wanted to read, which was an article written by current Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence, on women in the military concerning Mulan. And I'm going to read that to you now. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it.
I think I will.
But the thing is, which I'm quite disappointed with, it was mentioned in the honest trailer for Mulan, which was released yesterday. So it's not as exclusive as I thought it might be. I was upset they included that, because
that's disappointing.
Yeah, I was really looking forward to knowing about this, and I was the only one, but apparently I'm not. Now loads of people can know about it. But anyway, I'm going to read the article here. So it's titled. This is from. He apparently had something called the Mike Pence Show.
Okay. Wow.
So there you go. Yeah. So woman in the Mulan military. So here he goes. Just spent a memorable Father's Day like so many other all-American Hoosier dads. Do you know what Hoosiers are, Michael?
It's Chicago?
No, for people from Indiana.
Oh, okay, yeah. I did know. I knew it was from that area, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm not smart.
Yeah, with my kids at the new Disney film entitled Mulan. For those who have not been victimized by the McDonald's-induced hysteria of this film. He even references the Szechuan sauce. That's
He's
great.
Pickle Rick.
Mulan is a fictional account of a delicate girl of the same name who surreptitiously takes her father's place in the Chinese army in one of their ancient wars against the Huns. Despite her delicate features and voice, Disney expects us to believe that Mulan's ingenuity and courage were enough to carry her to military success on an equal basis with her cloddish cohorts. Obviously, this is Walt Disney's attempt to add childhood expectation to the cultural debate over the role of women in the military. Yeah, that's what they're trying to do, not make a bunch of money. I suspect that some mischievous liberal at Disney assumes that Mulan's story will cause quite a change in the next generation's attitude about women in combat, and they just might be right. Just think about how often we think of Bambi every time the subject of deer hunting comes into the mainstream media debate. Yes, oh god. See, if it wasn't for Bambi, people would not think that shooting deers are wrong and bad thing to do. But anyway, we shall move on. The only problem with this liberal hope is that the reality which intrudes on the Disney ideal from the morning headlines, from the original tailhook scandal involving scores of high-ranking Navy fighter pilots who molested subordinate women, to the latest travesty at Aberdeen Proving Grounds, the hard truth of our experiment with gender integration is that it has been an almost complete disaster for the military, and for many of the individual women involved. So there you go, Michael. Women come into the military, they're going to get sexually assaulted. Just can't help it. That's just how it is. So they can't, it's not men's behaviour which should change. It just shouldn't be in the military. What do you think of that conclusion?
Well,
do you agree with it?
I mean, it's definitely true that men are not agents. Men are not conscious actors. Instead, as we all know, men just exist to act out their natural biological urges, and the only thing women can hope to do is move out of the way of it. And pray that they're not in the firing line of men's shenanigans. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny, but also sad, because obviously sexual assault and generally sexual harassment in the military is a big problem. And it's... The thing is, I mean, the more substantial point, I mean, you could talk about that, and obviously it's kind of no point talking about Mike Pence.
Well, I'm not done yet, Michael.
Okay, there's more. Great, love it.
When Indiana Congressman Steve Bayer was appointed to investigate the Aberdeen mess, he shocked the public with the revelation that young, nubile 18-year-old men and women were actually being housed together during basic training. And he capitalised housed, by the way. I like how he put nubile as well.
Maybe he was predicting the House MD.
Maybe. Whatever bonehead came up with this idea should be run out of this man's army before sundown. Housing in close quarters young men and women, in some cases married to non-military personnel, at the height of their physical and sexual potential is the height of stupidity. It is instructive that even in the Disney film, young Mrs. Mulan falls in love with her superior officer. Methinks the politically correct Disney types completely missed the irony of this part of the story. They likely added it because it added realism with which the viewer could identify with the characters. You see, now stay with me on this, many young men find many young women to be attractive sexually. Many young women find many young men to be attractive sexually. Put them together in close quarters for long periods of time, and things will get interesting, just like they eventually did for young Mulan. Moral of the story, women in the military, bad idea. There you go. That is how Mike Pence concludes this. Completely not the message of the movie, but that's what he took from it. So what do you think, Mike?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not a film that even aspires to feminism. And to be honest, the greatest strength of this film, as you kind of already pointed out, is that this film isn't trying to be this big feminist statement. And to be honest, I didn't really like the fact that she fell in love with this Shanghai, even if it is in the original story, I don't know. But, it's not something I was like, yeah, I'm happy that's there. So that's kind of how I feel about that. And therefore, I don't think there's any irony to it. I mean, again, the problem is, this only makes sense, and obviously it's no surprise alt-right people and kind of, right-wing people in general have been doing this for ages, acting as if these companies have some kind of sincere desire to spread a progressive message. When, okay, sometimes they genuinely might. Like, I think there are actually people who care about diversity in media and all that kind of stuff, but they are not...
I think this is definitely the case with Moana.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Frozen.
Yeah, so you do get... Moana would be a really good example. And I think maybe Coco as well. You do get these films that seem to come from a genuine place of at least interest in other cultures, and also probably a political desire to bring the significance and culture of these societies to the fore in the Western world. But generally speaking, they just want to make money, and especially in this film, I mean, there really aren't significant hints at a big feminist message. It's just a woman.
No, well, he's just saying the mere fact that Mulan is in the military, that is a feminist message.
Yeah, exactly, and that's obviously stupid and dumb.
Yeah, it is.
And I hope he gets coronavirus and dies.
That's the funny thing. He's now that guy saying all that shit. He's vice president of the United States. What a wonderful world we live in. So the movie was also subject of comment from feminist critics. So Mike Pence isn't one of them. Mimi Nguyen said the film pokes fun at the ultimately repressive gender roles that seek to make Mulan a domesticated creature. Nandia Labi agreed, saying, "There is a lyric in the film that gives the lie to the bravado of the entire girl power movement. She pointed out that Mulan needed to become a boy in order to accomplish what she did." I don't really agree with that, to be honest, because I think, the irony of "I'll make a man out of you" is he doesn't, and then she still succeeds.
Yeah, I kind of thought that too. Yeah, there were several lines where it was like saying about men, and the impression was that I got from it, and obviously the impression you got from it was that whenever it mentioned specifically men, that was always a bit of a wink wink nudge nudge rather than look, she has to become a man or else she's shit.
Yeah, exactly. Kathleen Carolyn, an assistant professor of English at the University of Oregon, also criticised the film's portrayal of gender roles in order to even imagine female heroism, replacing it in the realm of fantasy. I'm not really sure about that either. Pam Coates, the producer of Mulan, said the films aim to present a character who exhibits both masculine and feminine influences, both being physically and mentally strong. Yeah, that just sounds like PR speak. So yeah, I think, again, you could... you can obviously interpret the film how you like, but I interpret it as, she doesn't... The irony is that she doesn't need to be a man. She's still a woman, obviously. She's just pretending to be. Like, she doesn't change her gender in the movie. She's just, puts on some fucking, soldier uniform, and she does what she does as a woman. So yeah, again, the reason why she has to pretend to be a man, as was said in the movie, is because if she was a woman, she'd get killed. So that's why she had to do it. And of course, it's based on a true story as well. So yeah, anything else to say on that, Michael?
No, I mean, basically, obviously, feminist analysis is they can do what they like, and there's probably some legitimate points there, but ultimately, I don't think any of them are significant, which is often how I feel about a lot of feminist analysis. It doesn't annoy me because I'm not a child, but sometimes I just think, I don't really agree, which, is that's because we're normal. So yeah, I think really there is no, I mean, obviously, there are, I think you could say the fact that Disney insists on having women fall in love with people could be subject to some criticism, but really it's all very minor, and ultimately it's not really a film that has much to do with feminism.
Yeah, exactly. Like, her falling in love with Li Chang is just, it's what happens in Disney movies, So there you go. Anyway, I want to talk about some other characters now. Let's talk about Li Shang, by the way, because I just mentioned him. I like that he kind of had an arc wanting to, prove to his father that he was good enough to be a captain.
And then his father dies.
his father dies. But he has a nice emotional moment. But then that's it, and you don't really get another moment with him thinking about saying to himself or saying to Mulan about how he hopes his father would be proud of him to complete his arc. That doesn't happen, which is a shame. That would be a nice moment as well. Again, that's something they could do in the live action if Li Shang wasn't written out, so he's not in the new one, Michael. Can you believe that?
No.
He's not there. I know, it's crazy. So anyway, the villain next, Shan Yu. I think he's quite one-dimensional, Michael. I'm going to make that claim. But here's the thing. I don't know why they all have yellow eyes and fangs and like scary-looking fucking... They just look scary. They are the invaders. Why is there any need to make them look so cartoonishly evil? Yeah, I know it's animated, but still, it's ridiculous. And what you were talking about before, by the way, about Shan Yu having shit motivation, I agree it is shit. It's like, oh, you built the wall, so I had to come down and, fucking invade you. Maybe in real life it would have gone down like that, but from what you have told me, that hasn't been the case. But just make it like, oh, he wants to emulate his father as well. Make the whole... Then you could have a theme about, trying to... emulating your parents or trying to make your parents proud. That goes through all the main characters. That's what Shan Yu wants to do. His dad didn't. His dad failed. Then he wants to also, take over the city and take over China. His father failed to do.
That's exactly. I mean, because to me, one of the things. So I said there was another criticism. I actually thought it wouldn't apply. It's because the criticism was, what is Shan Yu's motivation? One of the things that a lot of people talk about with these Disney films, say, like, oh, it's a great villain. People mention it. It's a thing people mention. You can't ignore the fact that Shan Yu is not. I think
he's a shit villain.
The best thing you can say about him is what I already said about how this film does a good job at showing the kind of stakes of war, but that's kind of unrelated. It could have been any other. And that's the thing, like I say, obviously, the fact that when he goes to kill the Emperor, and you've pointed out that he's not really a threat because the Emperor, he can't really kill him. And I was thinking to myself, well, does he just want to kill the Emperor? Does he want to be king of China? That was my question, because maybe he doesn't want to rule China. Maybe he just wants to win a battle. Maybe he wants to just be victorious in battle. Maybe that's his objective, or maybe he just wants to kill as many Chinese people as possible. What is it? If it's that he wants to be emperor, that's kind of stupid because he doesn't do a good. He is not a threat in that regard at all. So the question comes, and it wouldn't be hard. Obviously, you say that have it so his dad tried to take over, so eventually he wants to as well. That's the thing you could do. I mean, if you wanted to be even more creative, you could say that he made it on his own. He became a success, and therefore he rejects the idea of the Chinese dynasties because he doesn't like the sort of nepotism of it. He doesn't really view the emperors as being worthy. You could even have, for example, that maybe he was betrayed by the Chinese. I mean, one of the things that is a near constant in Chinese history is emperors of China hiring local warlords to fight their battles for them and then refusing to pay those local warlords, and then shock horror, the local warlords then turn on the Chinese emperor. So that would be like an obvious thing that happens in real life, and then that would create a bit of a moral complexity to it too, because then he's kind of right. I mean, he was let down. So there's loads of things you could do. I mean, we could just sit here and spitball ideas all day, but they didn't.
Which you have.
But they didn't do anything at all, which is disappointing.
It's just really. Shit. Again, like the emotional core of the movie is good, and this is what we're picking up on. Just the bits around the outside, the easy bits that just make them competent. This could be even better than it is. But the sidekicks now, Michael, onto the sidekicks. Mulan has three fucking sidekicks. This is incredible. I don't remember any. Does any Disney princess have 3 sidekicks?
If you count all of the different animals that make up Cinderella's little dress and chariot combo, then she had loads. Yeah.
By the way, I like that Eddie Murphy did have a character arc. That's nice for a sidekick.
Oh, yeah, I like
That's
that.
good. Yeah. But the thing is, sidekicks, I noticed this throughout the movie, they keep fucking things up for Mulan. I mean, the cricket stops her from getting a husband by being in the tea of the, old lady. And then Mushu gets her in trouble with the soldiers for starting a fight.
Oh, yeah.
Then either the cricket or Mushu set off a flare that gives away their position on the mountain. So a bunch of them, get shot at with those flaming arrows you said were ahistorical. So yeah, overall, the fucking sidekicks in this movie kept on causing problems for Mulan. Which is weird.
And it also, I mean, in a way, it kind of has negative implications for Mulan's character, because it means that there's nothing wrong with her. That it's not like she makes mistakes, it's just that everything keeps getting screwed up for her by her sidekicks. So not only does it kind of make the sidekicks a bit weird, but it also has implications for her as a character that kind of, again, Mary Sue, she doesn't have any bad things, it's just her sidekick who's ruining everything for her.
Yeah, she's the Ray before Ray. Also, Eddie Murphy as Mushu. So I like this movie starts off with a very serious tone, and maybe you can talk about humour now after this. And then all of a sudden, Eddie Murphy comes in, like 15 minutes into the movie, and starts doing his thing. And the tone of the movie completely changes. you have his wacky antics, and then it's back to the murderer's hands after that. It's really weird watching it for the first time. How this is a very serious movie, and then in comes Eddie Murphy doing his
shtick.
hijinks, his shtick, and then we're back to the hands killing children and murdering people who are running away from them. So it's just a bit of a weird introduction to his character. What do you think about that and the humor in general in the movie?
I mean it's basically. It's fine. I mean, I think they're always going to do it, but I guess it's quite difficult to have it work. I think you can have kind of humor mixed with more serious stuff, but ultimately, it is a bit, I guess it makes it harder to take seriously. It didn't bother me too much, but I guess it is a minor problem. So you're right.
Well, I just thought it was just the fact that it comes in out of a completely different tone. That's what got me. But throughout, I think it works throughout the movie because, he's already there. It's just like, all of a sudden you have, again, like the most serious Disney movie ever.
It's kind of
then in comes fucking Eddie Murphy, who's the opposite of serious. So Michael, also talk about the humor in this movie because you had a point to make.
Yeah, well, the main thing I want to make is that I don't find this film very funny. And the thing is,
no, but it's not meant to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Admittedly, what I was thinking in my head was I was thinking, obviously these Disney films, they tend to be very funny. Was my thoughts. But then I thought, actually, what? Quite a few of them aren't that funny. So a lot of them don't really go down to it. I think it's weird though because definitely there are obviously attempts at humor with, or the tone is not completely serious. A comparison I'd make is, for example, Beauty and the Beast, where it's not really trying to be very funny, and the tone's more romance and almost horror elements as well, and then sadness. Whereas, in this, I mean, it kind of feels like, and that's the thing, the fact it wasn't very funny felt more palpable in this film than it has in a lot of other Disney films. So it's kind of started thinking, it's not funny, and it's not really trying to be funny, but it feels slightly weird to me that it's not funny. So I don't know.
I mean, there's some nice moments that are. I like the moment where Mulan, where Mushu puts an apple on Mulan's arrow.
Oh yeah.
And then Liu Shang sees. That's a good moment. But that's the only moment I can think of which was that's good. So but
I
again, it
when he
wasn't.
tried to cut off Mulan's head, and then decided not to. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was hilarious. But that's the thing. It is quite a serious movie, obviously involving war and beheadings compared to previous Disney movies, and so that's why I think it will work with a live action.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Movie. Yeah, as just a war movie, it is a good decision to remake Mulan, I think. Anyway, so I think we should talk about the songs now, Michael.
Yes, I hope you've got a list of them, because usually I trust with these things.
I do. So the first one is, "You'll bring honor to us all."
Yeah, I didn't really like that one that much. I mean, it was kind of like, it was a bit like, the melody wasn't really there.
It was nothing special, but I think it was a nice, decent opening. You got the feminist angle in there.
Yeah, it does.
That line,
kind of sets it up.
A girl can bring her family great honor in one way. Verse about what men want in a girl as well. Also, Mulan, when she has her verse at the end, basically she is saying a girl power thing for her to say, which of course isn't the case in this movie, but like a girl power thing that she would say is, "I don't care about all this stuff," but that's not the case with her. Instead, she's singing that she wants to bring honor to her family, hoping ancestors hear her plea and do not make a fool of me. That's the lines.
Yeah.
So she just wants everything to go well. And I feel like, there are characters who, for example, I don't know, like Bella, Beauty and the Beast, would be like, I don't care about this. I don't want to get married. I don't care about that shit. So again, it just reinforces the fact that her motivation is all she wants to do is bring honor to her family, whatever that entails. You can see that in "Bring Honor to Us All" song.
Yeah.
The next song is "Reflection."
Yeah, that's a prettier song, but I think it kind of is maybe a bit redundant.
Well, I mean, it crystallizes her. It's I guess you have an "I Want" song in every Disney movie. This is her "I Want" thing. Wants her family to be proud of her. Wants to know who she is as well. She feels at the minute completely lost and alienated. I think it does, like I said before, set up her motivation, her character as a whole very well. I think it's a good tune as well. I think it's nice, and that I think is the famous one. That was used, actually, the instrumental was used in the new trailer for Mulan, the live action one. Did you know that?
Oh no, I haven't actually seen the trailer. I don't watch trailers because I don't like to have films spoiled for me. No, it's really just because I'm lazy.
Yeah, I like that, even though you watched the original. Yeah. I don't want to know what happens in the remake. Yeah. Oh, God.
It was really bad when I didn't watch the trailer to Passion of the Christ because I didn't want it spoiled for me.
Yeah. Anyway, Mulan became a role model for young women and gender non-conforming people. And some people have interpreted this movie as a transgender metaphor because obviously she dresses up as a man. And if you listen to the lyrics of Reflection and have in your mind that she's someone who is perhaps gay, even though of course she turns out she's not in the end. But the lyrics are very reminiscent of like a coming out song. No, not a coming out song, of somebody who wants to be,
who they really are.
Yeah, who they really are. Well, that's what basically the lyrics are. But they really, and of course that could be because she cross dresses, interpreted as a, as a song specifically for people who are transgender. So there's that as well. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I feel like you brought this up for another film recently where you said, it's kind of like being gay. No, but I
maybe I did it for Elsa in Frozen.
I think that was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
That was quite a while ago. But yeah, it's the same kind of thing. It's like let it go.
Yeah.
That hold me back anymore. That perfect girl is gone. Those lyrics, you can picture it in your mind. Oh, that can be interpreted as metaphor for people who are LGBT. And same with this Reflection song from Mulan.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's like two dimensions to it. There's obviously the general sense of I'm not who I want to be and I want to be who I am. And obviously that can apply to all sorts of things, but LGBT people would be an example of that. I would say that reading it as a transgender message could easily be perceived as problematic, although I don't know if necessarily people who use the term would or feel that way would necessarily use that term. But because obviously it's literally saying, well, she's a woman who dresses up as a man in order to circumvent a lot of objectionable norms about the culture she lives in, and then that becomes, well, she's not really a woman then. She's actually a man. I think that's obviously an issue because it's essentially... I don't really agree with that because I think it's kind of downplaying the actual aspect would be kind of the patriarchy and instead saying, oh no, yeah, she wants to be a man really, which obviously is kind of almost retroactively just... So yeah, I don't agree with that, but I do agree that certainly the idea of
the character doesn't want to. Yeah, it's clear that the character does not want to be a man.
Yes, exactly.
She just do it. She just does it, to meet her goals. But yes, obviously, I just thought, based off something I saw on the internet, that could be.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw it on the internet, you have to bring it up on the show.
I have to. But yeah, that's the thing. Even in the honest trailer, they talked about Mulan being like villains are coded gay, but Mulan isn't. So yeah, clearly there is something there that people have been saying specifically concerning Reflection. So I thought I'd bring it up.
Yes.
Yes. Now, next one is the best song in the whole...
Let's get down to business.
Yes, it is I'll Make a Man Out of You. Obviously, very, very clever double meaning there. Of course, because Mulan isn't a man, so she needs to be made out of a man. But of course, as we discussed, she actually doesn't become a man, obviously. And sort of Li Shang gives up on her, but she still accomplishes her goals without him. So yeah, she actually doesn't need to be a man. But yeah, it's very clever.
And it's a good tune.
As you said, the start of it, let's get down to business to defeat the Huns.
Actually, on that note, one of the things I really liked, so the other thing is, obviously you said that it does skip over a lot of the development of her as a warrior in a montage.
Yes,
but having said that, it is, if her being a warrior was not the main point of the film, unfortunately it is, but if it was, it would be a very clever way of kind of getting it so people are now trained. And the bit I really liked, so the bit that really just takes it home, is the bit at the end where it goes like a cappella.
Yes.
And you just see them succeeding at everything, and it's just like, yeah, I love it. It's great. Brilliant.
Yeah, you're right. But it is just a shame that it ends with Li Shang telling Mulan to go home. Well, in the middle, really. And then in the next verse, she's overcome her hurdles and is the best soldier in the regiment now. I think it is a good idea having Li Shang tell her to go home.
Yeah, and the way it's even incorporated into the song, I thought was quite good.
Yeah, it's good that it's incorporated into the song, but I would have like the song pause, then have her talk to Mushu or whoever, and she realizes that no, she can't let her father down, and then she decides to climb the pole, and as she gets near the top, the music stops.
There's nothing more empowering than women climbing poles.
Yes. So yeah, the music then starts up again as she gets near the top, and I think that would work a lot better.
Yeah.
Again, a good idea for the live action if they had songs, which they don't. And I think overall they should probably... Of course, they want to make it a more serious war movie, and that works, but I think you could still have Reflection and I'll Make a Man Out of You, because those are the two best songs.
You know what? I'd quite like if they used the music in more of like a symphonic sense. So they kind of had it like for one of the wars. Like, let's say they have this first war and they write in and just say, like, violin or whatever. Dun, 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 dun. Like, I would be 100% okay with that.
They're probably going to do that.
Yeah, if they like incorporate it. Kind of like how obviously you get the Lord of the Rings tune sort of bastardized in the Hobbit films, where it just like you just kind of hear it and you're like, is that the Hobbit film? Is that the Lord of the Rings tune? And it's like it's kind of there, but they're like, oh no, it's not exactly there. That's how I feel like they'll probably do it with this. But this time I will actually like it, so great.
Yeah, I love the line. What is it? You must be as swift as a coursing river. Something like that.
Yeah, I felt like you were singing the wrong lyrics to the wrong tune. I think
I
must
know
be
I
as swift as a coursing river. Something like that. Anyway, yeah, it's a good song.
It is a very good song, and it's a shame it won't be in the new one.
Yeah.
So, but it's a song which I really don't care isn't in the new one, which is A Girl Worth Fighting For.
Oh yeah, that's a really bad one.
Yeah, it's a nice animated sequence they do, because the animation, we haven't talked about it, but it's kind of standard, but it's a bit different there with that song. But apart from that, again, just mediocre. Weird thing about it is that it's a happy tune, then it ends abruptly when they realise their village has been massacred.
Oh yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah, it's really weird. But then that's it. No more songs for the rest of the movie. There's only 4. There's about 30 minutes of nothing in terms of musical stuff. And I guess it backs up why the live action is going to have nothing. 0 songs in it. Again, I think the main 2 would have worked, but I guess, if you're going to pull songs out of a Disney movie, this is the one to do it.
Yeah, true. No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Score, by the way, the score, do you know what it reminds me of?
It reminds you of the
a movie we've watched recently.
Let me just think about it.
I'll just tell you. It's Black Klansman.
I think it reminds you of Black Klansman, Luke. See?
Fuck off.
Nailed it.
You could have cut that.
I'm gonna do it in the other order. I'm gonna make it sound like I think it reminds you of Black Klansman. You're gonna go, it's Black Klansman.
Yes. No, it does. It does remind me of a Black Klansman, because that has a bit of East Asian thing in Black Klansman. And I was thinking when I was watching it, like, they have this standard, theme music whenever there's a battle that's going to go ahead, and it's like, what is that? And then it's Black Klansman. That's what it reminded me of. So there you go. Okay, shall we get on to how China received this film, Michael?
Yes. How did they receive it? Via satellite?
No, they received it pretty badly. People in China complained about Mulan's depiction as too foreign looking, and the story is too different from the myth.
Why are Chinese people such xenophobes?
I know, right?
Like, they're just like, they're like, oh, she doesn't look Chinese enough.
Yes. Not historically accurate, I think, as well, as you pointed out. It's putting, I read this, it's like putting hundreds of years of Chinese history together, like smashing it all together. The fact that it was too American for Chinese audiences affected the box office return in China. It was very low compared to The Lion King. Disney thought they were going to get some success, but that didn't turn out to be the case. So what else concerning China have you got to say about Mulan, Michael?
So basically, number one, I mean, there's this whole thing about honor, which is very Chinese. But the final thing is, I think this is kind of important. I actually looked at the Wikipedia for the page because I was thinking to myself, I feel like this story, of course, Hua Mulan, was written around the same time it was set. Point being that the people at the time clearly wouldn't have objected to the idea of a woman serving in the military because they wrote this story about a woman serving in the military. And I found out that's not necessarily true. It was written in 600 AD and set in the late 4th century AD. So there's about 100 to 200 year gap. However, it doesn't seem like a substantial difference. And more importantly, in the story, her parents actively support her going off to fight. And there really is the sexism aspect in the original story is not there at all. So while we've said that this film is good in that it doesn't overly have this feminist message, and it's more about a woman who wants to bring honor to her family. In the original Chinese story, that's all there is. It's just about a woman who wants to bring honor to her family by going out and fighting for them. So it's the same setup of her dad's too old to fight, he doesn't have a son, she goes out and fights, but there is no big women can't fight, you dweeb.
Okay, so that is interesting.
Basically, it kind of shows how. And the thing is, obviously, I should point out though that we're not going to be weeaboos. I don't know what the Chinese version of a weeaboo is, but obviously, to summarize feminist history, the relationship of all cultures to women has been complex. And this isn't to say that ancient Chinese society was not sexist. It almost certainly was, but in lots of cultures, there are stories of warrior women, and those stories tend to not have much of a sexist dimension to them, or like a gendered dimension to them. So it's kind of, and I think if you were going to make a criticism of those stories from a feminist perspective, you would say that the problem is that the gender dimension is absent. So while it's probably true that in reality, people would be like, oh, I don't agree with this, within the actual story, in the fictionalized version of China, it's like, oh yeah, she's a great woman for bringing honor to her family. So yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so that's it.
Well done.
Sorry, is that it?
That is it.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's a good point, Michael. No, that is very good. Good point, and it is interesting indeed. But I guess they have to have her, having more sacrifices. Like she could get killed if she's found out. That just heightens what she's doing, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to talk about now the controversy in Turkey, Michael, surrounding this.
What?
This movie? Yeah.
More like Contra Turkey and Versi.
So the Turkish Nationalist Movement Party, the MHP, protested.
No, they clearly can't spell because I hate to say it, Luke, but none of those words work with that abbreviation. More like the Murkish Nationalist Movement Party.
Okay, well, anyway. So the MHP protested the release of the film in Turkey in January 1999 and called for screenings of the film within Turkey to end due to its negative portrayal of the, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this, the XIO Jong-yu, who are considered historical ancestors to the Turks. MHP deputy Nazif Okumus stated regarding the film, "From start to finish, this animated film distorts and blackens the history of the Turks by showing the Huns, Zhonggu, or however you pronounce it, as bad, and the Chinese as peace lovers." So there you go. Controversy in Turkey surrounding this film, which I was very surprised to see.
Yeah.
Given, obviously, that you would not think about Turkey when watching this movie. So yeah, does the Turkish Nationalist Party movement thing have a point, Michael?
Well, I would assume that this Turkish Nationalist Party are probably what's called pan-Turks. In other words, a bit like the Baathists, who are pan-Arabs. There's lots of people in Turkey who want a union of all Turkic nations to come together. So everywhere from like East Turkestan to Turkey to be united as one country. I would imagine that that's probably what this MHP or whatever they're called, what their ideology is. And then in that sense, they would obviously feel a deep sense of fraternity to the Eastern kind of Siberian Turkic peoples. But it's a pretty silly thing. I mean, I get it. I get that it's kind of annoying. But having said that, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, when you break it down, for most of their history, the Turkic people have been nomadic raiders, and it's just really hard not to present nomadic raiders as these violent, warmongering people. Because, I guess if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. When Genghis Khan was going around slaughtering everyone, I just think he wasn't thinking to himself, how might this affect people's opinions of the nomadic raiders of the Asian steppe in the future? So, you know what? He went for it. Like, at the end of the day, you take the good with the bad. The Turkic people get to talk about the fact that they once controlled a really huge empire. They've been a constant thorn in many powerful empires' sides. And yeah, that's good. Be proud of that. But at the same time, don't be surprised when people present you as these warmongering villains. You take the good with the bad. Like, I don't get stress when the British Empire is portrayed badly in some film made in India, which I assume probably exists, because I think to myself, you know what? We controlled a quarter of the world. You take the good with the bad. I'm not surprised that some people are kind of pissed off of us. And that's what the Turkish people need to learn.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm sure they would very much enjoy you lecturing them. Because one thing I know about
listen
Turkish...
here, you Turk.
One thing I really know about Turkish nationalists is they are very, respectful and calm about things. Anyway, Michael, so that's the stuff of the Turks, and yeah, it's very interesting, very weird as well. But we shall move on now to a question which I wanted to pose to you. Is Mulan the best Disney princess? Now, of course, she isn't a princess. She's
so the
just
answer
a normal...
is no.
Yeah, she's disqualified. But she's classed as one, I guess. And I read a bunch of articles on I read 4 articles, I shouldn't really say a bunch, with this question. They ranked the Disney princesses because I wanted to know. And the 4 articles ranked Mulan as second, first, and first. So, and the one, who came first and the one she was ranked second?
I don't know.
Which princess was it?
Pocahontas.
No, it wasn't Pocahontas. No.
Belle? I mean, it must be something relevant. Little Mermaid.
It was the Little Mermaid, yes. So there you go, which I was quite surprised at, but there you go. The Little Mermaid was first. But for all the others, Mulan was first. She did really well, Mulan. She swept up here. She came up clutch. But
well, I'm looking at funmoneymum.com, and it's got a complete list of the Disney princesses. So let me tell you, that's terrible. I mean, I like it, but I think it would offend people.
Let me ask the question first.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. So the people I read who are very knowledgeable about this subject, obviously, matter of Disney princesses. I refer to the experts on this, and they think Mulan is the best Disney princess. But what do you think, Michael? Do you think she isn't, or she is? What do you think?
I think that she's not awful, but just looking at... So I've got a list here from, like I say, funmoneymum.com, and it's got a list of 14 on here. And just looking at some of the recent ones, I think all of them could be contenders. I mean, Moana, she's good. Elsa and Anna, I think, are both all right. Merida from Brave,
I'll tell you
isn't
what,
bad. And then also Rapunzel from Tangled is good. So,
Elsa was consistently ranked quite high. Moana was around 6. She was middling, but Elsa was ranked like 3rd and 5th. But yeah, certainly Anna wasn't ranked that high, and I think the new ones from like Tangled and Princess and the Frog, they weren't done too well. Obviously, the worst ones were Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella and Snow White. They're at the back end. But yes, I think.
Belle's good. I like Belle. Like I genuinely think
Belle was good as well.
The worst one from like recent years is Pocahontas.
Yes, Pocahontas was kind of in the middle, really. Felt it.
So, but honestly, since Ariel, it's all been pretty good except for Pocahontas.
Okay. Yes. When we get onto Pocahontas, we can hear your thoughts about her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm going to make my claim, Michael. I think Mulan is the best Disney princess because I think what she does is better than all the rest. And again,
she's simply the best.
Yeah, her character again is probably one of the most relatable because again, she's not actually a princess, which helps. And also, her motivation to do what she does is great. It is a great motivation. I think like Jasmine out of Aladdin, who's like already like rich beyond the 99% of people's wildest dreams. Like, she's not happy with her life. I just think, fuck off. You're a fucking princess. Come on. But for someone like Mulan, that's not the case, and she's struggling in her life deeply, and you can see that from her song. So yes, I think that she is the best. I'm going to rank her as my number 1 Disney princess, which is a very important ranking to me. So yeah, this is a very high honor for Mulan.
I'm not going to engage in this. I can't rank her. I would just say I could not say that she's clearly the best. Maybe she's the best, but I couldn't say she's clearly the best because I think
get off the fence, Michael.
I just I really liked Rapunzel in Tangled. I think she is so hot, and she's also empowered. And I like how she hits people with a frying pan. And I just, again, reiterate, she is so attractive that it just really gives me strange feelings about, just because she's an animated character. But someone really just went
This was the same thing you had about Anna as well.
I know, yeah.
In Frozen.
They're all so attractive. Like, I don't know what these guys are doing, but they really need to sort it out. You know how people say like, The Lion King just made everybody a furry? Well, I don't know what these guys are doing, but eventually we're going to have a generation of people.
Zootopia as well.
Yeah, we're going to have a generation of people just attracted to women with giant eyes because that's really where this is heading. I don't know. I don't really get it. I don't know why it would be that, like, biologically speaking, we are attracted to people who don't look like people. Because this Rapunzel girl from Tangled, she's just so much more attractive than any woman who actually exists.
All right. Okay. Right.
Anyway, now with that all said. Let's review this film. We have been reviewing it. Let's conclude on this film.
Yeah, you go first, Michael.
Okay, so this is, in my opinion, the greatest insult I can level against this film. I'm really excited about the fact that there's a Disney remake coming out of it, which is like, I say it's an insult. I'm kind of joking, but obviously the thing is when The Lion King came out, everyone's like, no, don't do it. You lunatics. Do not make this. Because obviously The Lion King's got this really fantastic animation. Like, the animation is the strongest thing. Aladdin came out, I was like, people were like, no, don't do this. Because again, the genie is this really great animated character who just is brought to life through Robin Williams' voice acting, and the animation is just so perfect. I know we're never going to beat it. And other films people have had varying opinions about. But then Mulan comes out, they say like, it's going to be a live action Mulan. Everyone's like, yeah, good. I think I'm quite excited to see that, like a live action war film about this warrior princess. It seems kind of good. And with that said, I don't think I think that's kind of an indictment of this film, that essentially you have to say, well, it's not so good that I feel passionate about its integrity as part of the Disney franchise in the same way that I do about The Lion King or other things. And honestly, there are a lot of drawbacks. It's a really strong beginning. There are some good things I liked about the villain, but having said that, the minute I think about the villain, I also think about the fact that he doesn't have a real proper good motivation. I didn't really feel any strong emotions in this film, and also I think we haven't mentioned the animation. Like I say, I think that's one big reason why people don't care or are even enthusiastic about the fact there's going to be a live action remake, because I don't think this film really benefits that much from animation, and therefore, yeah, sure, just make a live action thing. With that said, I think it's worse than South Park, but it's better than Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which makes it a low 6.
Okay,
so that is still a positive rating, but yeah, it's not an I love it rating.
Okay, so here's the thing: I am also excited, I guess, for this remake because I think you can make easy improvements to a good story, a great character in Mulan, and that's the key. This is the key thing here: a great emotional core, which this movie has. You've got the hard stuff in place. You just need to sort the basics. I think you're gonna have a really good movie. So this is what is frustrating to me because I think the most important aspects of this movie, the most important aspects of any movie is what this movie does really well at. That emotional core, which again I have praised throughout this movie or this review that Mulan has. So the question then becomes, well, how much stock are you going to put in all the stuff around, like the fact that the second act transitions to the third act so quickly, there's hardly time to breathe. And yeah, I am frustrated, but again, I'm going to put this, Michael, as an 8 out of 10. So quite a bit higher than you.
Yeah, wow.
Because I think it does the stuff which really
You think it does the stuff that matters well?
It does the stuff that matters really well. So that's what bumps it up to an 8.
You know what they say, Luke? It might over matter. If it doesn't matter, never mind.
Yeah, again, if this movie gets all the other stuff right, this could be like a 9 out of 10 for the next Mulan. The live action one, whenever it is released. So speaking of that, Michael, shall we now predict what this new Mulan is going to get at the box office?
What is Mulan?
Sorry, not at the box office, on Rotten Tomatoes. That's what we're predicting, Rotten Tomatoes. So in 3, 2, 1, we'll say what we think it's going to get.
I really have no idea, but I'll go. Okay, okay.
Okay, you've thought of a number?
Yes.
All right, in 3, 2, 1, we'll say it. 3, 2, 1.
91. Holy shit! That's so funny. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, 91. I mean, that's 91. I mean, we both went for it, so I guess.
Shall one of us go one higher and one of us go one lower, so we actually have a difference?
Okay, I mean, I guess I'll go one lower. Fine, 90%.
All right. Okay.
I'm usually used to it. So.
Well, that's better for you because it's more likely to be lower.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So yeah, I fell on my sword like a hero, but I guess I'll go for the thing that's more likely.
So you're getting 90. And you know what? Shall I put it? Shall I be 92 or 91? Because the thing is, there's no difference. Really.
Go for 91. I don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, there's no difference because of course it's not about who gets it right; it's about who's closest. You get amount of points for how far away you are. So yeah, there's no real difference. But there you go, 90 and 91 for us. So yeah, Michael, whenever this movie is released, maybe it will be on Disney Plus. Who knows? We shall have we shall get the results of that as quickly as possible. What are we doing next week?
We're doing X-Men 2000. Well, I wrote X-Men 2000. We're doing the X-Men that was released in 2000.
Yes, we were originally going to do it because of the release of New Mutants. But since that's not coming out, we're going to do it anyway.
20-year anniversary.
Yeah, 20-year anniversary of the first X-Men. So that's it. We've been selecting and reflecting on Mulan, the 1998 original, because the live action. And yeah, I think we've learned a bit about China, haven't we, Michael?
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Yeah, and we should not judge them because of the Chinese virus.
No, we shouldn't.
Yeah. There's more to them than that.
We should judge them because of their oppression of the Uyghurs.
Yeah, that's what we should do. But no. Anyway, who have you been, Michael?
I've been Michael.
And Luke, thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Goodbye.